Hello and welcome to the ninth chapter. It is the last chapter in the book, but it's not the last one in the video lesson or the session because I managed to get even the 10th chapter, which will be dedicated to some practical games that I play, and I will try to show you how I play in those games. Now, the ninth chapter I dedicate to the so-called Rossolimo, or here anti-Rossolimo line, because I think that also this is kind of the system that white now really use very frequently. The popularity of this system is of course related with the play of the super GMs, especially the Vichy Anand, which is, I think, an incredible strong player who use this system to mainly win many games. Now, because that the players who like to play Rossolimo are mainly the positional players, I introduced the system that is also not my invent, but I think that analyze it for quite a while and find a way how to go through some of the lines which are somehow playable for black, not only to be playable, but they are also very tricky for white. And white should be very precise not to came into some worse positions. So let's start and see what I mean after the e4, c5, knight to f3, knight to c6, and then of course bishop to b5. And now I think that all of you guys who play the Sicilian before, you face after the knight c6 if you play knight c6, or even if you play in a second move d6, bishop b5 check is also possible, reach those kind of the systems. Now, to be honest, I also play some kind of the Trompovsky with the white, and the idea is also quite similar. So take the knight, destroy the pawn structure of the opponent, and then try to do something very positionally. For instance, what is here white main idea? I play few of the games with g6 when after bishop takes on c6, dc6, d3, bishop g7, h3 for instance, and then knight f6, castle. Black will get the bishop pair in this very close position. White will have incredible pawn structure and the dark square bishop and try to squeeze something from the position after a hundredth of move. But to be honest, I don't like this position for black. It's not that it is worst, but I think that here is a main territory where Rossolimo players know what they want to achieve, and basically it's very easy to learn how to play with white, because you cannot make any kind of the mistakes, just to develop the pieces and make the pressure in the center. And I think that this is something that you don't want to get against the Rossolimo type of the players. Because of that, I try to use something really different here, and I show you in the book, and of course I try really hard to introduce you this through the video. I played the move queen to c7, which is also something that is somehow very tricky, but it's also the move where I think black can hope to fight for more than the equality. Now, what is of course main idea? Not to allow bishop c6 and then destroy the pawn structure. So basically after the white take a knight on c6, then black will take with the queen, not with the pawns. And here white has three main ways of play. Of course, bishop to c6, queen c6 is not something that white wants. So first of all, white wants that black lose a tempo for a6, and then he will take on c6. So this is something that will not bring white anywhere. Also, I show you knight to c3 here, which is the move that will, I think, just transpose to the main lines after the castle, a6, and so on and so on. And then basically what I think that is the main white idea here is just first to castle and then to see how he will play later on or what he wants to do. Now, after the a6, if white try to go back for instance on e2, then after knight f6 is all about black, because white pieces goes back, black pieces go further, and with incredible pawns on the queen side, it's clear that white will fight and struggle for the advantage. And also, white cannot here allow himself to play bishop f4 because he will lose a piece. After the b5 and c4, the bishop is trapped, and black managed to get a win here, because this is something that white should resign here. Then it's clear that the only real move here is bishop takes on c6, but now queen take on c6. And we came to the position which is incredibly messy. So we get to the position where white managed to develop a piece and castle on the king's side, and in meantime black somehow is back in the development. He just developed the queen and played the move a6. So it's something that is really unusual, but I really think that based on the fact that black has two bishops and white has some slight initiative here, but without clear, I think, plan, black will manage little by little improve the position, and then with two bishops and I think nice position, try to play for something more. For instance, here I show you the lines which start with knight c3 when the e6 is very important move, when after d4 this will just transpose to the main line, or here d4 as the main line, and after cd, knight d, you should know, as I demonstrate in the video, that you should go for the queen c7 and not to take a pawn on e4, which will get to the suicide mission, because now white will have incredible initiative. So for the pawn that black take, white has extraordinary position. So open E and D files, incredible knights on c3 and d4, and black is completely stuck in the development. So this is something that you should avoid at any cost. Then after the queen c7, I think knight c3 and e6 will bring us to the positions where white will have slight initiative now, but if you manage to get with black very solid position after a few moves, you will get some kind of the position from the Sveshnikov or from the Kansas Sicilian where white will be without the light square bishop, and this is something that I think will be only in black's favor. For instance, if, let's assume here, white plays something like bishop e3 and black managed to complete the development, you can easily see that it's all about black. And I think that here we can speak about that the position is better for black. Why? Because we reach the Sveshnikov, the Scheveningen or Kahn position where white is without the light square bishop. And without the light square bishop, white cannot organize anything. And with only the moves like rook c8, rook d8, d5, and so on, when the position will get opened, it's really something that you want to play with black, because extra bishops in this open position can make a huge difference there, and I think that white will struggle to find a way how to equalize the chances. Of course, white has his own chances, but I think that those chances are here after the move queen g4, which is, I think, the key idea here for white. But at some point I'm not so afraid of this move, because I think that black has the system which will bring him the equality. Now, first of all, I would like to explain you here, and I also explain you in very small details in the video, when you want to go back with the bishop and when you want to go back and try to defend this pawn with the king. So just remember that if the position in the center is closed after the d6 and e5, then you can go with the bishop back. But here you cannot at some point play back bishop to f8, because white has extra idea putting the knight on d5 and get incredible pressure in the center, even maybe sacrificing a piece for incredible attack. So this is something that you should avoid. So because of that, here king f8 is needed, and then after the e5, d5, very, very important is close the position in the center, h5 and g6, and then knight h6, and then just king g7, knight f5. I think that black managed not only to survive, but in the long run, basically, as I mentioned before, black will get bishop pair. And then also, after the b5, b4, he will have the c file. And then he will have somehow secured king on g7. And little by little, I think that only black can improve his position, where white will struggle to find a way how to continue and how to get something from his position. So, and then also, if before everything this, white start with e4, e5, and you play d5, and now queen came to g4, which is, I think, a completely different story now, because now knight e5 isn't something that white can do, then you can go even with the bishop on f8. And the recipe is the same. So put the pawn on h5, then g6, then play bishop to e7, then go knight h6, and then just go with the king on f8, g7, knight f5, knight g4 at some point. So basically, little by little, you can see how easily black can improve his position when, in meantime, with starting initiative for white, this can very easily go in black's favor. And it looks like that white has some kind of the potential in the attack, but with a precise slight defense at first, you can get incredibly nice position. And I think that here the position is about equal, but black has a bishop pair. Black has very solid position in the center without any kind of the weaknesses. And I think that black had very, very nice playable position. Also, what I think is very important is that none of the players who like to play a Rossolimo will like to play those kind of the positions which are more or less connected with the open kind of the Sicilian and not with the Rossolimo. So this is something that you can use to out-trick white in opening very easy, and if white doesn't really know what he wants to achieve, he can get in some kind of the problems later on, because after the starting initiative, black can get very strong position and play for a long time.